My brother forged my name for a $44,000 loan, so I evicted him at his launch party in front of 40 guests and our parents. Am I the asshole? Sell your automobile. Veronica's loan is not going to pay itself. My father snapped after raising the rent on a house I secretly owned. I answered, then begin packing. You have 30 days to leave. I served the eviction notice in front of 40 guests during a backyard party. Get rid of your car, Dad ordered, not breaking his gaze from the television in front of him. Veronica's debt is unlikely to be resolved on its own. I stopped halfway to the fridge, frozen in place, the orange juice still in my hand. What have you just said? I asked. He looked at me as if I were the one acting unreasonable. Your brother is trying to make something. He is under pressure right now. And I'm not, I replied sharply. Mom sighed, standing over the stove. Leo, you do a terrific job. Veronica simply needs a little help. Again, help. Their normal technique of telling me to pay over money. I closed the refrigerator door and leaned against the counter. Remember how you almost doubled my rent? Dad waved it aside, as if I were being finicky. And you're still paying less than others. Okay, I replied bluntly. Let us double it again and call it charity. Mom made a sound with her tongue. Do not be disrespectful. Veronica is your brother. Yes, I said. He's also 32 years old, lives below without paying rent, and hasn't held a steady job in 2 years. But okay, let's squeeze me instead. Then came a lengthy, heavy pause. Dad kept going as if nothing had happened. I assumed you were always good with money since you worked. But I did not say it aloud. Since I finished school, I've been working non-stop. Full-time employment, side work, no debt, no travel, no luxuries. My car is fully paid for. My savings were gained via work. I sacrificed sleep, friends, and any sense of balance to keep ahead. Veronica dropped out of 2 schools after being duped by someone selling cryptocurrency. Now he claims to be beginning a business, but all he does is play video games till 3 a.m. and share cheesy quotes online. You said I could stay here for a year, I reminded them. Make a plan to save. I did it. Now you're raising the rent and asking me to sell my car for Veronica. He's your brother, Mom said, as if it were written in stone. Families benefit one another. I looked at both of them and laughed briefly. I'll think about it, I murmured under my breath. Dad nodded, as if it were already settled. Good. I knew you would do the right thing. I said nothing else. I returned to my room, closed the door, and sat on the bed, staring at the floor. They had no idea. No idea. I'd already made up my mind. We had no idea what was coming. Let me just say that when Veronica's big moment arrived, I had a surprise for him. Not what they were anticipating. But before we get there, you should know how it all began. This was more than simply a terrible conversation in the kitchen. It was years of silent pressure. I was always expecting from others, and I forgot how it felt to live for myself. Veronica's big day was only the spark. The fire had already been blazing for a long time. It started when I returned home after graduating college. It was intended to last a year. Dad had urged, save some money, get steady, and then move forward. That happened 3 years ago. Since then I've paid rent, bought groceries, repaired damaged things around the house, such as when the pipes ruptured, and assisted Mom with unexpected credit card payments far too many times to count. I've never spoken out. I thought this was just what a decent son should do. But the unfairness was too much to bear. Veronica, my younger brother, spent 5 years discovering himself, which largely involved spending money on pointless hobbies and failed ambitions that always required someone else's money. Mom would often remark, he simply needs more time. Dad would urge me, you're the older one, Leo, be a role model. But what does that even mean anymore? I worked 60 hours a week performing technical support. Veronica slept all morning and posted bogus hustle pics from the couch with hashtags like grind mode. Let me explain the situation. Veronica had planned to start a drop shipping firm in 2019. I covered the expense of registering his company and setting up a Shopify account. In 2020, he changed his mind and switched to YouTube. I purchased him a camera and a microphone to tide him over until the advertising revenue began to flow. He assured me that by 2021, everything would revolve on cryptocurrency. I didn't offer him any smell that time. Instead, he took out a $44,000 personal loan. He lost everything in less than 2 months. Now I'm asked to give up my automobile to help pay the loan he can't afford. This is what stings the most. I said no, and I immediately became the bad guy. One night, I returned home to find both of my parents sitting at the kitchen table, as if they were about to punish me. "Veronica's not like you," Mom said. "He's more emotional," she explained. "You've got to work on a solid path. He's chasing something bigger." "Oh, my bad," I told him. "Does he break out in hives around employment?" "Stop being nasty," his father said. "He's making an attempt, but the strain from his debt is causing him concern." Then I fired back, pawning his gaming console. Perhaps his tension will decrease if he starts planning his spending. Dad got up. "No more smart remarks and no more freeloading," I said. "You've virtually doubled my rent, while he pays nothing." Mom said that he is family. "So am I replied. They said nothing but gazed. After that night, things became worse. I started seeing little symptoms. Veronica orders takeout using the family credit card. A gift intended for me was ripped open and tossed aside. It was a new work phone. His girlfriend spent most nights there. She ate our food, insulted me for budgeting, and called me a stiff since I pay for my own belongings. Then came the breaking point. It was Sunday. I was attempting to nap before an overnight shift. Veronica rushed into my room without knocking. "Hello," he said. "Your credit is good, right?" I sat upright. "Why?" He chuckled as if it were clear. "I'd like to redo my loan. May I borrow your name? I'll have a better deal." I stared silently. He kept smiling, as if he had asked for a slice of bread. "Do you want me to co-sign your loan?" "Just for a little while," he responded. "You have great credit. There is no risk. It's not like you actually utilize it. Nothing to lose, right?" I stood up and walked past him. Didn't say anything. He followed me. "Wait. You are angry now?" I didn't respond. "Wow," he murmured. "You always assume you're better than us just because you have money. You owe us." That word stuck. "Oh, so what precisely do I owe them?" "For feeding me as a youngster and raising me in a family where affection was conditional, and praise was only given when someone else fell harder." They did not raise a human. They raised a wallet, a silent funding source with no rights, only responsibilities. Something inside of me shifted that night. For once I didn't feel tired. I was done. I did not yell. I did not argue. I just started making plans slowly and silently, since working in technology taught me one thing. The most effective approach to break a system is from within, and my family. That was the system. My mistake was assuming I was a part of it. I was not. I was merely the battery holding it alive, and I had finished charging it. Veronica had a big event planned. He expected a lot of excitement. I had something else planned. 30 days, one envelope, no notification, but I'm going ahead. You will understand. Veronica's big day was intended to be unforgettable. A celebration to launch his new brand. He created teas with nonsensical slogans. He prepared a promotional package using Canva. He beckoned everyone to the backyard, as if he were ringing the stock market bell. Dad asked me the night before if I could help set up the speakers. I said, "No, you're not really coming." Mom stood outside my doorway, like if I were grounded. "He's your brother. He is your mission." I told her, "Go support him." She didn't like it, but I didn't care. They had crossed all boundaries. I was just drawing a new one where they wouldn't be able to cross again. On the morning of the gathering, I printed the documents, placed them in an envelope, and went over each page twice. The law in our area requires 30 days notice for an official removal from a resident. I followed every rule because I didn't want to burn this bridge without proof. By midday, Veronica was already outside, wearing shades and barking commands like he was directing a movie. "Where is the sound? Who's got the music ready?" He barked at nobody in particular. Dad stood by the grill, turning food. Mom was setting out fake champagne flutes on a fold-out table, as if it were a star party. I remained inside, drinking from my coffee cup. The one with a problem solver printed on it, and observed the ruckus in the backyard through the glass. It truly does fit. I waited until every guest had arrived, and then Veronica took center stage with a microphone that someone had lent him. Speaking confidently about how perseverance trumps privilege, and how none of this would have been possible without his team. I stepped out just as people began to applaud. I walked straight up to him, holding the envelope, and gave it over. "What's this?" he inquired, chuckling. "A surprise," I replied. "You've got a month," he said, laughing. "A month for what?" Dad was already on his way over, bewildered. Mom froze with her glass in midair. "To depart," I responded loudly and confidently. My voice did not shake at all. The music stopped off. "You're not serious," Veronica replied, opening the envelope. "I am," I answered. "It's a legal document. This place belongs to me. You're not a renter. You're a problem, and I'm done putting up with it." "Leo, what is this?" Dad demanded. "You can't." "I can," I interrupted. "And I already have. You almost doubled my rent. You told me to sell my automobile to pay off his loan. You called it fair." "This is not the time," Mom remarked firmly. "This is really the ideal time," I said. "Because I want everyone to hear it." I turned to face the audience. Neighbors, family, and freeloaders. For 3 years, I've been paying rent. I've covered the utilities. I repaired stuff around here while everyone else did nothing. I bought groceries, while Veronica bought supplies for his failing side hustle. I witnessed him crashing every project. Meanwhile, I became the backup plan, the emotional doormat. The family ATM. "You're being dramatic," Dad remarked again. "Am I?" I asked. Then I turned to Veronica. "Did you or did you not ask me last week to co-sign a loan for a company you haven't even launched?" Veronica's face lit up. "It was just an idea," he said. "Exactly," I replied. "You live in dreams. I live in effort." "I'm your brother," the man said. "You're supposed to support me." "I did," I replied, frigid as ice. "I helped you become someone who never had to take responsibility, but that ends now." She gasped. "You cannot say it to him." I glanced directly at her. "Do you mean the way you spoke to me? Remember when you branded me selfish for refusing to give up my car? Like how you've treated me like a bank with legs?" Dad stepped in. "You are degrading the family." I gave a quick laugh. "The family has already embarrassed themselves. I am done pretending it didn't happen." Veronica's hands trembled as he opened the letter again. "You cannot toss me out. You do not even own this place." "Yes, I do," I replied. I took out my phone, accessed the house loan app, and showed Dad the screen. "I purchased it 6 months ago. I am the only one on the papers. You have all been living here on my dime." Silence. Quiet. Complete silence. It was perfect. "You never mentioned anything, Mom." "You never asked," I said. "You just kept assuming I'd bear the weight." I turned to go back inside. "Oh, and one more thing," I said, gazing over my shoulder. "No one owes me rent for the past month. You've got 30 days. But, if you're still living here, the sheriff can explain it to me." I walked back inside the home, shut the door behind me, and for the first time in a long time, I could breathe. Following the explosion in the backyard, the house went silent. No one said anything the remainder of the day. Mom discreetly disappeared into her bedroom, holding a drink can. Dad remained transfixed at the kitchen table, like a soldier trapped in a past memory. Veronica slammed his door hard enough to knock a frame off the wall. I turned up the volume on my music, shut my room, and fell asleep like never before. For the first time in a long time, I did not feel exhausted. I felt scared, but the silence did not last long. On the 4th day after delivering the documents, I strolled in to see Dad reading my letters at the dining table. He was browsing through banking information, loan paperwork, and legal documents. He did not even bother to hide it. "We're just looking to see what options we have," he explained gently. "You're not really planning to remove your own relatives, are you?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "My relatives are the ones that raised my rent, urged me to sell my car, and treated me like a walking ATM to support Veronica's entrepreneurial dream." "That's not how we intended it," he murmured. I let out a dry laugh. "Oh, so now you're emotional landlords." He didn't answer. Instead, Mom entered the room holding a folded paper and placing it on the table like it was some kind of peace deal. It was a breakdown. Items like groceries, power bills, and home costs. Things I had been covering without complaint for years. "This is what we owe you," she added softly. "We want to do the right thing. But please talk to Veronica." My expression hardened. "I will," I said. but not by talking. That evening, someone knocked, and I expected it was more drama, but it wasn't. It was Veronica's ex, Celeste. She appeared different, more composed, as if she had barely escaped something terrible. "I heard what went down," she continued, holding a folder. I opened the door and didn't say anything. "He informed me you agreed to back his loan," she explained. "However, this is not true. I was on it until 2 months ago, when he changed the details." I took the folder from her and froze. Veronica had forged my name, contact information, and phone number. He exploited my identity behind my back, locking my jaw, and lied. Not just me, but also the bank. "He's been dishonest with everyone," she claimed. "Even with himself." I called my lawyer. We investigated every detail, every faked line, and every falsified message. "You've got a strong case," he remarked. "Forgery, identity theft, potential fraud. It all depends on how the funds were spent." I gazed at the screen. Veronica hadn't requested my assistance. He had pretended to be me. And nobody, not even Mom and Dad, intervened. The next day I gathered them all. One last dinner. They were plainly uneasy. Dad seemed rigid. Mom grasped a Kleenex. Veronica refused to meet my gaze. I placed the folder in the middle of the table. I explained that there was no need for food. "Veronica, you forged my identity to obtain your loan." Mom gave a gasp. "That is not possible." "Look at the proof," I remarked, moving the pages forward. "Emails, logs, and signatures are all legally confirmed." Veronica stumbled. "I did not intend for it to go this far," I was about to explain. "No, I said you'd let me carry the burden while you played entrepreneur in a hoodie." Dad attempted to intervene, but I sent him a stern look. "I've already spoken with legal counsel," I explained. "If Veronica isn't gone in 10 days and the loan isn't paid off within a month, I'll take this to court." Veronica's face plummeted. "You would wreck everything. You've already ruined my credit," I said. "I am just trying to save myself." That night he left. No apologies. No goodbyes. He disappeared like a criminal in reverse. Nothing was left behind except the destruction. Mom sneaked in a few days later, while I was making coffee. She dropped a little package beside my mug. Inside was a little handwritten note. "We did not see how much you cared. We are not asking for forgiveness, but we finally understand." I read it, folded it, and did not say anything. Not yet. And soon, when I thought the dust had settled, something more appeared. Celeste sent a letter on genuine paper, with no sender specified. "I understand that this may seem unexpected," she wrote. "However, my employer currently has an opening in Boston. It's a system analyst position. They include housing assistance. You have probably had enough of cleaning up after others. However, this is not about fixing someone. If you're willing to start over, now is your chance." I leaned back and gazed at the page. Boston was a city where no one knew me. No one realized how much I'd gone through just to live in the home I had thought was mine. I folded the paper and grinned. They treated my piece as if it were free. So I took back everything else. Now I had something I hadn't had in ages, a choice. And this time, it was mine. Even now I occasionally hear it in my brain. Dad shuffled papers and sighed to get attention. Mom uses quiet as a trap. Veronica could be heard shouting down the hall. "You are meant to be there for me. You are my brother. It used to break me. Now it only reminds me of why I walked away." 2 weeks after Veronica disappeared, the house collapsed. It is not tranquil, but rather artificial. For example, after a thunderstorm, the skies become excessively silent. My parents pretended everything was fine, but we all knew it wasn't. They moved about me as if I was a ticking time bomb. Every morning I heard whispering. Conversations concerning money, groceries, and home maintenance. I used to manage things quietly all the time. And this time I let them handle it. Not out of rage, but because they needed to feel it. Feel what it was like when I wasn't present. I returned home 3 days before their deadline and saw Dad on the stairs. He did not yell. He did not appear angry. He appeared small. "I'm trying to rent a place," he added softly. "They want proof of income. Credit scores. It's been a while." I grunted. "You'll figure it out." He didn't press. I did not feel guilty. I did not say Veronica's name. We hadn't had a proper conversation in a long time. On the day they left, Mom handed me an old envelope and a plate of food. "It's not much," she replied. "But it's something." The envelope contained $320 in cash. I did not take it. I didn't need it. The food went unused in the refrigerator for weeks. I tossed it, but the gesture lingered with me. Veronica never reached out. No apology, no explanation, just a fresh Instagram post of myself sitting in a shared office, typing nothing meaningful, and still chasing the same dream. He referred to himself as a resilience coach now. What are you resilient to? Being told, no. The post received 8 likes. I did not give it the 9th. That should have been the end. But a month later, a message appeared. It came from Lacey, a person who knew Celeste. "I read your tale on Reddit." She stated, "What you did helped more people than you know." Many of us have a Veronica in our lives. We needed to see someone stand up and win. I read her message 3 times. Not because I doubted it, but because it was the first time someone recognized me as a fighter, not a villain. 2 weeks later, I packed my belongings, accepted the job offer in Boston, and began again. New job, new apartment, no leeches, no guilt trips, and no more, "I should really help Veronica" chats over dinner. Even yet, I occasionally find myself accessing my old bank app out of habit, seeking for lost money or waiting for another emergency request, only to find nothing. Just my money and my own life. That was when I realized they had never loved me. They cherished who I was for them. The trustworthy one, the fixer, the one who always said yes, the money machine, the unpaid parent, or the backup plan. And once I stopped playing that part, I became greedy, ungrateful, and cruel. But here, sitting at a Boston cafe, laptop open, phone silent, I finally felt what they were most scared of: freedom. I paid off the mortgage, sold the house, and placed the proceeds into investments. I have a copy of the eviction notice in my drawer. Not in rage, but as a reminder. Saying no is not unkind. Leaving is a wicked act. Boundaries are essential to survival. People ask me if I miss them. Holidays, family gatherings, and togetherness. I tell them the truth. I do not miss my family. I miss what I assumed family meant. What I had was emotional debt cloaked in false devotion. Loyalty with strings. I do not miss that. Not even a little. If you're reading this, you're their version of me. The quiet helper, the silent supporter, the person who always makes sacrifices. You are not cold. You are not broken. You are not wrong. You are just exhausted. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to give yourself back what they've taken away from you for so long. Freedom. And this is the truth. Nobody told me. Being the bad guy in their story is well worth it if it means becoming the hero on your own. Thanks for watching and being part of the drama. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a wild news story.